sa'kin ng nobya ko isang basketball na bago. Sa pangalawang araw ng Pasko, binigay sa'kin ng nobya ko dalawang payong at isang basketball na bago. Sa pangalawang araw ng Pasko, binigay sa'kin ng nobya ko tatlong sakong bigas, dalawang payong at isang basketball na bago. Ang-apat na araw ng Pasko, binigay sa'kin ng nobya ko apat na pagkong, tatlong sakong bigas, dalawang payong at isang basketball na bago. Ikalimang araw ng Pasko, binigay sa'kin ng nobya ko limang pulang logo, apat na pagkong, tatlong sakong bigas, dalawang payong at isang basketball na bago. Anim na araw ng Pasko, binigay sa'kin ng nobya ko anim na sopa, limang pulang logo, apat na pagkong, tatlong sakong bigas, dalawang payong at isang basketball na bago. Ikapitong araw ng Pasko, binigay sa'kin ng nobya ko pitong berbeng unan, anim na sopa, limang pulang logo, apat na pagkong, tatlong sakong bigas.
She I shared with you. Looking through some old photographs, faces and friends will always remember. Watching busy shoppers rushing about in the cool breeze of December. Sparkling lights O Diyos, Ikaw ang laging hanap. Loob ko'y Ikaw ang tanging hangat. Nauuhaw akong parang tikang na lupa sa tubig ng iyong pag-aaruga. Ika'y pagmamasdan sa dakong banal. Nang makita ko ang iyong pagkarangal, dadalangin akong nakataas sa aking kamay. Magagalak na awit ng papuring ialay, ngunit ako'y ikaw habang nahihimlay, pagkat ang tulong mo sa tuwin ay taglay sa lilim ng iyong mga pakpak. Umaawit akong buong galak, aking kaluluwa'y kumakapit sa'yo. Kaligtas ay tiyak kung hawak mo ako. Magdiriwang ang hari, ang Diyos siyang dahilan. Ang sa iyo ay nangako, galakyaong makakamtan. Ngunit ako'y ikaw habang nahihimlay, pagkat ang tulong mo sa tuwin ay taglay sa lilim ng iyong mga pakpak. Umaawit, umaawit, umaawit akong buong galak.
Good morning, dear teachers, at a blessed Sunday to everyone. Dito na po tayo sa ating last day na po tayo, and our fourth session for this morning. Half day lang po tayo, huwag po tayo mag-aalala. At this point, I'd like to welcome to the i.LEAD family our lifetime members, Ma'am Mayra Noriesta of SDO Santa Rosa, Sir Carlos J. Alferez of Camarines Sur, annual member, Ma'am Jenny Nueva of Masbate. Welcome po to the i.LEAD family. Few reminders lang po for our last day. Of course, our to-do list is, of course, the assessment tool. So, katulad po ng sinabi na ina-announce natin every session, the assessment tool should be fully accomplished up to session 4 before submission. Huwag po nating i-email or isa-send sa messenger, hindi po mare-record ang inyong submission. We will put up a submission bin in our FB group page where you will submit your assessment tools after this session. Kahapon po yung ating sessions 2 and 3 with Doc Feljon. Ginawa na po natin yung assessment natin within the workshop. So pwede pong isingit nyo na lang doon sa assessment 2 and 3 yung link po ng inyong activity or screenshot of your activity. Pwede po yun. Isingit nyo lang po sa Assessment 2 and Assessment 3. Ganon din po yung pwede natin gawin for our Assessment 4. Of course, yung atin pong attendance for the 4 sessions, pwede nyo pong balikan to make sure po na nakapag-attendance na po tayo. Naka-post po ang ating attendance links sa ating FB group page. Another important reminder po for all of our dear teachers participating in this workshop. For those of you who are individually registered, so whether you have availed of the NAEP CPD or the CPD certificates only, your certificates will be shipped directly to you upon confirmation of your submission of your output and all other requirements. Para naman po sa mga participants registered by their respective SDOs, yun pong ating mga certificates ay isi-ship po sa ating mga respective SDOs at sila po ang in charge sa distribution ng certificates. So makipag-coordinate lamang po tayo sa kanila or of course they will announce po when the certificates are already available. Special instructions po for participants from SDO Santa Rosa. Sa SDO Santa Rosa po, make sure po that you have registered in the Google link sent to you. No? Kasi po pag wala po dun yung pangalan nyo, kahit nakapag-participate po tayo for the 3-day activity, hindi po kayo mabibigyan ng certificate. Yung pong link na sinend sa inyo ng SDO, kailangan nyo pong i-accomplish. And make sure po that you have participated in the right webinar. Nasa Conducting Distance Research Program pa lamang po tayo. So dapat po yun yung nakaregister sa inyo in order to receive a certificate for this program. Okay, sana po malinaw yung ating mga announcement. We now move on to our 4th and final session. So nakatatlong sessions na po tayo and this is our last day. So i-integrate na po natin lahat ng natutunan natin for the first 3 sessions. So workshop session po tayo. This concluding session provides an opportunity to the participants to work on a draft online survey using readily available platform ready for fielding. Our participants are expected to volunteer to deliver material online with other participants acting as online respondents gaya po ng ginawa natin kahapon. Let us be participative, no? Let us be very active para po ma-maximize natin yung session natin for this morning. Our expected learning outcomes, first is to write or design a draft web online survey tool integrating lessons from sessions 1 to 3 and to evaluate the draft web or online survey tool using best practices or guidelines in this session. To help us achieve our learning outcomes, of course, we have our speaker for this morning, Professor Joseph Porfirio Andaya, who is a graduate of the Ateneo de Manila University, a retired college professor, a cooperative officer, a seasoned researcher, lecturer, trainer, and seminar resource person in the fields of sociology, anthropology, economics, political science, disaster risk reduction and management, business continuity planning, and cooperative theory and practice. He retired from teaching early in 2016 and has published various peer-reviewed articles with some of these presented in national and international conferences at leading Philippine universities, particularly the University of the Philippines, the Ateneo de Manila University, the De La Salle University, Silliman University, and the Visayas State University, as well as in Hua-Chu Chalamprikit University in Thailand, and the Shandong Yingkai University in Jinan City in China, where he holds the title of Distinguished Professor. Mr. Andaya is a certified business continuity professional affiliated with the New York-based Disaster Recovery Institute International. He's currently the director of the Research, Development, and Publications Center of the Philippine College of Criminology in Manila. Ladies and gentlemen, dear teachers, let's welcome our speaker for this morning, Sir Jopo. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Maria. Thank you for the introduction. I just want to check, can everybody hear me online?
Clear po.
Am I clear online?
Audio.
Okay, so,
yes po.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here in our online session for the last module of our workshop series on research. maraming salamat po kasi alam namin na Sunday ngayon and many if not all of you are intending to be with their families, no, for Sunday mass, Sunday activities, and perhaps a stroll in the malls, no, or in the parks sometime this morning. No? But andito po kayo, and it is a sign of your dedication to our profession that you tried to complete the whole workshop series on research. No? So kagaya ng sinabi ni Ma'am Ria kanina, this culminating session tries to put together several important aspects of the first three sessions for us to kind of design an online research ready for fielding. No? I understand that in the previous sessions, you have had some input already on fielding your researches online through Google Forms. No? That is with Dr. Feljon yesterday. But we will have to take that into consideration in our designing strategies and concepts today. Okay, so let me share my slides so that we can plunge into our session. Okay, can everybody see my slides?
Yes po, visible, Sir Jopo.
Okay, sige. No? So let's go ahead. No? So this is a workshop on designing and pre-fielding an online research. No? And let me start with this. No? When something bad happens, like for example, COVID-19, we have three choices. No? We can either let this event destroy us, no? Such that we give up completely, we fold before it, no? And we accept its consequences to us and to our lives, no? Or we can let it strengthen ourselves, no? Surpass it, no? Overcome it, no? And struggle on, no? Be resilient, no? Be flexible and be adaptive, no? But more than this, more than being simply surviving, more than simply adapting, more than simply being flexible, no? More than simply being resilient, as how many of our friends, colleagues, institutions define it. No, resiliency is simply bouncing back up, either at the same level as where we were before the disaster struck, or beyond it, no, building ourselves back better, no, is the mantra of the government right now. No, we can let this event also and all our actions in response to it define who we are. No, and as teachers, as professionals, no, as educators, this is a very preferable option than simply letting the event destroy us or letting the event simply enable us to stand up and to bounce back. No, the event should really characterize who we are. No? It should bring out the best in who we are, and this character buildup is what we show to the world, no, after such an event. So with that in mind, let us focus on our task for this session, apply the lessons we have learned over the past sessions, and draw up the basic contours of an online research. No? Let me start with this facts. No, we are in the Philippines among the very best positioned to deal with research in the coming months or even years. No, as of 2021, we are one of the top 20 countries with the highest number of internet users, and so the technology is there. No. As of 2022 February, the Philippines was ranked 11th in the world by Statista, with Bangladesh, which was previously ahead of us, dropping to number 19. No? However, Filipino internet users dropped down to 76.01 million. No? That is not a very significant drop, although we may attribute this to the problems in connectivity that we have had over the past months. But not to worry, because this is being addressed right now, and this is being solved by many of our institutions already. No, many of us, and at the individual or at the institutional level, have adjusted, and we have quite a heyday already in the past 2 years or so, building up our resources in this regard. No, so you have here a bar chart having China at the top, of course, no, given its population. Then India, United States, Indonesia, Brazil, Nigeria, Japan, Russia, Bangladesh, Mexico, Germany, and the Philippines, rounding up the top countries in internet usage. No, so with this in mind, we have a very positive uh, environment ahead of us. No, many of us have already renewed our gadgets, for example, upgraded them. Many of us have already been introduced to several new types of teaching, of delivery. Some of us have cried, sometimes over the prospects of returning to face-to-face education. Why? Because many of us have had adjustments already. No? Nasanay na tayo. We were becoming familiar with the new technologies. We were becoming at ease, no, in online delivery platforms. And going back to face somehow made us feel that these are gonna be set aside in favor of the more traditional face-to-face, personalized, in-person style that we have been accustomed to in the past. No, but not to worry. No, we had a taste of what it is like to conduct online relationships with our students. No, and to be sure, online technologies are here to stay. Even if we go back to face-to-face education, even if we go back inside the physical classroom, no, the brick and mortar classroom, as they say, no, we will never let go of the technologies that we have learned and had become experts in during the past 2.5 years. No, many of you, in fact, I'm sure of this, are planning to integrate technology, educational technology or edtech inside your classrooms already, no? Such that even if you are meeting your students within the physical classroom, within the physical walls of your classroom, you may have an idea already of how to make them bring in their gadgets and do some kind of research assignments within the classroom while you supervise them one by one and check the quality of their inputs learned through educational technologies. No? So hindi ibig sabihin na babalik na yung mga estudyante sa classroom, iiwan na nila yung mga gadgets sa kanilang mga bahay. No? Ikaw din na instructor, hindi ibig sabihin na papasok ka ulit sa classroom, isasara mo na yung laptop mo at dyan ka muna habang nagtuturo ako, saka na kita haharapin pag gumagawa na ako ng grades. Hindi ibig sabihin nun, no? We can still use online resources within the classroom, no? Imagine doing group works, imagine doing classworks, imagine doing assignments, no? Or imagine doing sit works, no? With gadgets, availing of the online data and information, no? That is currently available, no? It is quite exciting to think of these kinds of prospects right now. And for sure, even as we educator researchers, no, go back to the classroom, we will not let go of the advantages that online technologies, no, have given us and have been introduced to us, especially in the line of research. No? So hindi ibig sabihin na kahit bumalik tayo sa four walls of the classroom, yung research modes natin, no, babalik din sa traditional na in-person gathering of data, in-person designs in research, etc. So magagamit pa rin natin itong online research tools na pinapag-aralan natin ngayon. So let me review what we have learned over the past months in a kind of a new modular conceptualization. No? In online research, we start with the usual preliminary research activities like choosing and problematizing the research topic before going on to the research design itself. No? Keeping our research issue or research problem in mind, we develop our paradigms, we clarify and lay down the ontological and epistemological assumptions, no, that we have surrounding this research topic. And from these ontological and epistemological assumptions, we design our research, no, as either quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods research. No, we have studied earlier how an ontological perspective of realism, no, makes us choose quantitative approaches to research, and how constructive ontologies, no, would necessarily lead us to qualitative approaches to research. No? As to our epistemological assumptions, we know now that having an ontological perspective of realism would bring us to quantitative data gathering methodologies and approaches like surveys, no? And constructive or interpretive ontological perspectives would necessarily also lead us towards interviews, no, thematic constructions, and other such strategies in qualitative research. No? And if we have a research problem that is approachable from these two perspectives, no, from these two ontological perspectives of realism and interpretivism, then we may choose to come up with a mixed methods research, with one part of it being quantitative and the other part being qualitative, and with the major challenge of mixing these two kinds of approaches in our research design. No? After doing this, no, once we are able to choose between qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods research, the instrument that we design will, of course, be determined by these ontological and epistemological assumptions. No? We have the questionnaire if we are quantitative realist, and we have several other types of data gathering instruments, Delphi interviews, for example, focus group discussions, and personal interviews. If we have a interpretive, constructive paradigm and epistemological assumptions. No? These are to be done before we even filled our online research project. No? In fielding itself, first we have the processing and monitoring of our universe. No? Remember that this is an online universe that we are talking about. No? We have to monitor how often they stay online and how accessible they are to online recruitment. No? And this processing and monitoring continues side by side, even as we are already recruiting and selecting our informants or our respondents, no? Or our subjects, no? In the field. No? This recruitment will lead us to an idea of how we will measure the data or the information that we will be gathering from our recruits, from our participants, no? From our informants or from our respondents. No? And this measurement will also kick in to the kind of monitoring that we will be conducting later on in following up our data gathering instruments and in collating our data and information. No? After fielding, of course, we have certain post-fielding requirements and steps, such as preparing the data that we have gathered already. And this starts even as we are already analyzing the preliminary results, no, of our data, of our field work. And of course, when we conduct post-fielding, we export our data into data analysis software such as SPSS, no? And we now continue to document our processes so that we will be developing our methodological section in our public final text. Okay, so this pre-fielding, fielding, and post-fielding steps, of course, should be integrated meaning they all follow a single flow, such that there will be no shaky things or no inconsistent things later on when we write our public text. No? Remember also, no, always continue uh, uh, operating within the general assumption that these are all conducted online, and we never even have to leave our chair or our table or our laptops in doing this entire online research process. No, and this makes it easier for us with our online technologies, with our educational technologies, although some pleasures of research might be forsaken also in the process. No, like for example, uh, the pleasure of walking in communities, the pleasure of experiencing real time, real life uh, community involvements. No, the pleasure of conducting, for example, real-time participant observation, no, or even objective observation processes in qualitative research. No, these kinds of pleasures, no, eating with the people, no, breathing the same air with them, observing them in their actual lives and daily processes. No, this brought pleasure and a certain kind of excitement for us uh, when we were conducting ground-based research before. No, napakasarap kasing kausapin yung mga tao sa real life. No, napakasarap kasing maglakad sa kanila papunta sa kanilang mga bukirin. At kung yung research natin ito tungkol sa mga estudyante, napakaganda ng feeling na binibisita mo sila sa kanilang mga bahay at kinakausap yung kanilang mga magulang, no, yung kanilang mga kamag-anak, etc. No, this kind of research, no, this face-to-face grounded research, no, brought to us certain kinds of meaning, no, certain kinds of experiences that we uh, we held onto, so that we could grow as persons and as researchers. No, now much of this is lost in online research processes, which are kind of impersonal. No? Even if you conduct interviews, for example, no, I have conducted one-on-one interviews online. I have conducted also focus group discussions online. And during the pandemic, no, because we had to do certain kinds of research activities also during the pandemic. But it is kind of empty on some hand, no, because you don't work with the people, you don't speak with them, you are not into them, no, and this takes some kind of excitement away. But we had to do it before, no. Now, this is not to negativize, no, online research process. This is only to uh, to clarify certain things that must be let go in favor of the online research process. No, we can of course do some kind of hybrid research processes right now. No, do some kind of data gathering, both online and on the ground, and then do some kind of data analysis also both online and on the ground also. No, like for example, we are doing a research right now on graduates of our school, the Philippine College of Criminology, and we designed it mainly for an online research project. No? It's a tracer study, so we will be following up on the graduates of the PCCR, find out where they are currently working, if they are working at all, and what kind of jobs are they in, and how successful would they be in terms of certain kinds of standards or achievements or levels of achievement. No? Now, primarily, we designed this as an online research. No? But later on, if we have some respondents who are validated not to have online access among our graduates, we plan to search them out. We plan to go to them using the traditional ground-based research. No? So the tracer study will end up as some kind of a hybrid modality, starting off with an online survey of our graduates. And then for the graduates who cannot be accessed online, who could not be contacted online, we will go to them on foot, no, on the ground. No? This will entail some kind of, mixing of online and offline tools, no, for data gathering. But we hope that we can conclude this hybrid modality in online research with fairly successful results later on. Okay, so as a review of the research designs that you have been in contact with during the past 3 sessions, we have the quantitative designs, of course, the experimental and the descriptive design. Those are the 2 basic quantitative designs that we are accustomed with. For the action research design, that is mainly designed along the lines of an experiment. Descriptive quantitative designs are basically divided into 2, the correlational descriptive and the causal comparative descriptive design. For qualitative designs, now we have basically these 5 categories, these five types. Phenomenology, where we look at the meanings of lived experiences. Ethnography, where we describe actual events in the community or in our research site. Grounded theory, where we take data and infer from this data a theoretical construct, no? Without which we start the research in the first place. No? A case study focuses on typical representations of a population or universe and focus on these typical representations to build up our ideas, no, and hypotheses over these kinds of phenomenon. And the narrative may be in the form of a historical flow or in the form of a descriptive chronological project of the life or experiences of our subjects. No? The mixed methods design are oriented towards Creswell's mixed methods menu. No? There are 2 basic types, the sequential mixed methods designs and the concurrent mixed methods designs. No? But these 2 main designs may be further classified into 3 each. So we have the sequential explanatory design, where we launch off with a quantitative project that will be further explored through a qualitative sub research. No? We also have the sequential exploratory design, where the qualitative now leads off, followed by the quantitative part of our research. Then we have the sequential transformative design, where either quantitative or qualitative parts lead off, but the other design follows in order to prove or disprove a certain kind of theory that we formulate in the first place. The concurrent designs have the qualitative and quantitative parts going on simultaneously. No? So neither goes ahead of the other. So sabay na nangyayari yung quantitative at qualitative. And we have 3 of these, the concurrent triangulation design, where we use the 2 designs to reinforce each other's findings and, triangulate or validate the findings of the other. The concurrent embedded, where we have a main design and the other design, like for example, we have a main design which is quantitative, and the qualitative design is inserted within it, is part of it. But the main approach is quantitative. Naka-embed sa loob ng quantitative yung qualitative design. No? At sabay, pinapatakbo yung dalawang parts. No? Kasi concurrent. No? Or the other way around. No? Yung main approach mo ay qualitative, pero yung quantitative part nakapaloob doon sa qualitative overall design. No? And then the concurrent transformative, where it is the same as the sequential transformative design, except that both parts of the research happen simultaneously. Sabay nating pinapatakbo yung dalawang parts ng research. So this means that the mixed methods design is not exactly what many of us seem to think before. No? Ang idea ng napakarami sa ating mga colleagues noon ay kapag nag-quantitative design ka at naglabas ka ng mga certain quantitative results, no? Like for example, yung mean ng isang item ay 4.25 at nagkakaroon tayo ng isang qualitative interpretation ng 4.25. Anong ibig sabihin ng 4.25? Ang ibig sabihin ng 4.25 is very satisfactory or highly satisfactory. Yun ang iniisip ng iba nating mga kasamahan natin noon na mixed methods, na may 4.25 ka na mean at meron siyang qualitative na highly satisfactory. Yung ganun, no? So that is not actually what we mean when we have a mixed methods research design. No? That remains a quantitative design. No? It's the data gathering itself, it's the conceptualization itself, it's the paradigm itself that determines whether a research design is quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods design. Okay? Here is Grenmo's approach to mixed methods research. No, sabi niya, we can either classify a mixed methods research based on the researcher actor. No? Okay? For qualitative data, the researcher actor is mainly an ethnographer or a participant observer, no? Dealing with data that is taken from real life world experiences. For quantitative research, no, the data that the researcher actor goes after will be products and results of structured observations planned before, mainly before, he conducts or she conducts data gathering. No? The type of respondent that is used to gather qualitative data would be unstructured respondents in unstructured interviews and focus groups. No? Whereas in the gathering of quantitative data, the respondents will be those who will answer questionnaires and surveys. Okay? As to the type of document to be used in the particular research designs, for qualitative data, we will use material that will have contents for qualitative analysis. However, for quantitative data, the type of document that we will be focusing on will deal with quantities, count-offs, numbers, and quantitative content in general. Okay, so with that review, that is merely a review of what we have discussed during the past 3 sessions. Let us now embark on our first workshop, our first activity in our research designing module. Okay, so what we will do is this. Now, let us think of our school or our division. This will be our research area, or our research site. Now, given this as our research area, address the question, what researchable topics can be thought of within that research area? Or what research topic can be thought of as related to that research area? So the researchable topic can be within the physical scope of the school or the division, but it can also be within the meaningful scope of that division or research area. What is the difference between a physical scope and a meaningful scope? Like for example, our campus is the physical scope of the research area. Okay, so observe your campus, whether online or on site, and think of certain problems that you want to investigate within that physical limit. And that will be your research topic. Okay? The meaningful scope can refer not to the physical campus, but to the area covered by your students, for example, or by the parents of your students, no? Or by their communities, right? No? So, for example, you're talking about parents of students, and parents of students do not reside, or they are not within the physical campus of our school, but they are within the meaningful context of our school, right? Because the parents of our students are stakeholders that may not be within the physical campus, but are within a meaningful area that is important for our school to operate. No? So parents can be a subject area for our research area. Okay? Then after thinking of this researchable area, think of a topic. That topic should be one. Let's be very careful here. This should be one topic only. Okay? But this topic can be approached by a quantitative design, a qualitative design, and a mixed methods design. Okay? This is very important for our activities this morning. Okay? Do not think of three topics. Think of one topic only that can be approached by a quantitative design, a qualitative design, and a mixed methods design. So all these three designs can be used to approach that single topic. Okay? Now, the second is after you have chosen this topic, formulate the main research problem for each design. Okay? Formulate the main research problem for each design. Then break down the main problem in sub-problems for each design. Okay? After which you can now formulate a working title for your study. Okay? Now let me give you an example. I work right now in the Philippine College of Criminology, the PCCR, which has only one program offering, and it is BS Criminology. Yeah. We are trying to put up a BS Forensic Science and a BS Industrial Security Management program. But for now, the main program that we offer is BS Bachelor of Science in Criminology. Our campus is a very tight campus. We have only 2 buildings. We don't have a field campus. We only have these buildings to work in. Okay? Now, many of our students, therefore, cannot be accommodated within the physical campus, within the 2 buildings. But we have 7,800 or so students. These 7,800 or so students cannot be accommodated within these 2 buildings because we only have 44 classrooms. So where are they? Our students are all or nearly all online. Okay? And that is why the PCCR boomed during the pandemic, because we offer only a pure online delivery. Many of our students who work outside Manila or outside NCR can enroll in our program, and they can study in our program. Okay? Now, one sector of these students who would like to finish their bachelor's degree and go to work in law enforcement and in other related areas consist of delivery riders. Delivery riders. Not all of them were delivery riders before the pandemic, but most of them became delivery riders during the pandemic. And they have built up a kind of a self-employment system that takes up much of their time of the day, and they are quite segmented. No? Some work in the morning, some work in the late afternoon, and some work in the evening. So they choose certain enrollment times, enrollment slots. Those who work in the afternoon can either choose the morning slot or the evening slot. Those who work in the evening can choose either the morning or the afternoon slot, and the other, well, of course, no, they could either choose from the morning or evening slot. Okay, so these are the kinds of students that we have in that particular area. So this kind of problem, this kind of topic may be approached by a quantitative design. I can make a survey of these delivery riders, right? No? And come up with a kind of a study on how their schedules affect their academic performances. No? I can also come up with a qualitative design for them, no? Meaning, what are the experiences of student delivery riders who are students of a higher educational institution, and how meaningful is education for them? No? That clearly suggests itself, right? No? Delivery riders sila, pero nag-aaral, no? Nag-aaral, no? And sometimes it's very interesting how they narrate their experiences na pag meron daw quiz o pag meron daw exam, ipinaparada muna nila in the midst of a delivery yung kanilang motor sa tabi ng daan para kunin yung exam, at pag natapos na yung exam o yung quiz, sa kanila ipagpapatuloy yung delivery ng kanilang mga products, no? And of course, this can now be a topic for a mixed methods design, no? I can do a numerical, a quantitative study on them, do a survey with them, no? And I can select quite a few of them for a more in-depth interview. Okay? Yan ang isang paraan na pwede kong gawin, no? And then I can come up with a working title like this, no? Learning on Wheels: The Academic Challenges of Student Delivery Riders in the College of Criminal Justice at the Philippine College of Criminology. Okay? So, no? With this in mind, let me now give you 15 minutes, no, to undertake this first activity. Okay, so let me summarize. Think of your school or division. This will be your research area. It can be a physical research area or a meaningful research area. What researchable topics can be thought of within that research area? Then choose one topic that can be approached by quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods design. Okay. I will formulate one main research problem for each design. And then for each of the main problems, so we will have three main problems therefore, no? One quantitative problem, one qualitative problem, and one mixed methods problem. Then you may break down the main problems in sub-problems, no, for each design. And then finally, formulate a working title. You may notice, no, nauuna sa atin yung topic than the title, no? Hindi kagaya ng ginagawa ng iba, no, na nagta-title muna sila bago sila mag-generate ng problems. Sa atin baliktad, no? Okay? Baliktad. Nauuna yung topic, no? Okay. At later on na natin gagawin yung title. And imagine, now this is only a working title. This means that after we write the research, after we complete the research, then we will come up with the final title. So yan ang ating approach. Okay? So with these clarifications, no, let me set my timer to 15 minutes and let us embark on this first workshop now. 15 minutes starts.
People making lists, buying special gifts, taking time to be kind to one and all. the things that words can't say. Why don't you give love on Christmas Day? Oh, the man on the street and the couple upstairs all need to know that there's one who cares. Give love on Christmas Day. Never a gift is there than love. When the
lighting lanterns on the streets. I remember the child in the manger as he sleeps. Wherever there are people giving gifts, exchanging cards, I believe that Christmas is truly in their hearts. Let's light our Christmas trees for a bright tomorrow, where nations are at peace and all are one in God.
Let's sing Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. This season may we never forget the love we have for Jesus. Let Him be the one to guide us as another New Year starts. And may the spirit of Christmas be always in our hearts.
In every prayer and every song, that community unites, celebrating the birth of our Savior Jesus Christ. Let love like that starlight on the first Christmas morn let us back to the manger where Christ the child was born. So come, let us rejoice, can sing a Christmas carol. We're from a joyful voice, proclaim the name of the Lord.
Let's sing Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. This season may we never forget the love we have for Jesus. Let Him be the one to guide us as another New Year starts. And may the spirit of Christmas be always in our hearts. Let's sing Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. This season may we never forget the love we have for Jesus. Let Him be the one to guide us as another New Year starts. And may the spirit of Christmas be always in our
Sa Paskong darating, Santa Claus nyo'y ako rin. Pagkat kayong lahat ay naging masunurin, dadalhan ko kayo ng mansana sa tubas. May candy at tsokolate, peras, kastanyas na marami. Sa araw ng Pasko, huwag nang malulumbay, ipagdiwang ang araw habang nabubuhay. Sa Paskong darating, Santa Claus nyo'y ako rin. Pagkat kayong lahat ay mahal sa akin. Sa Paskong darating, Santa Claus nyo'y ako rin. Pagkat kayong lahat ay naging masunurin, dadalhan ko kayo ng mansana sa tubas. May candy at tsokolate, peras, kastanyas na marami. Sa Pasko darating, Santa Claus nyo'y ako rin, pagkat kayong lahat ay naging masunurin. Pagkat kayong lahat ay mahal sa akin.
Malamig ang simoy ng hangin, kay saya ng bawat damdamin. Ang tibok ng puso sa dibdib, para bang ulog na ng langit. Piling Pasko'y labanan, mayroong sigla ang lahat. Wala
Okay, so that should be enough for our first activity. Okay, let me resume my my share now. Okay, so let's refresh ourselves with what we have discussed earlier in terms of the issue of research ethics. Okay, so ethics, remember, is something that is infused at every stage of our research, particularly since most of the target populations for our researchers are students. Okay? And being students, they are in that group that we call subject to vulnerabilities, no? In terms of research, we are incursive in the sense that we insert ourselves into their daily lives and we try to disrupt the normal run of the day so that we can get what we intend from them, from their parents and from their friends, no? So it is not really a kind of activity where we are passive, distant observers of certain phenomena. In many cases, if students are the subject of our research, even if we conduct our research inside the classroom, we are invading still their privacies. And even if we are, their second parents inside the campus, this second parentship still has certain limits, no? Like, for example, if we inquire into their thoughts, ideas, emotions, vulnerabilities, no? Etc. Let us always remember, therefore, the three core principles of research ethics. And these are confidentiality, anonymity, and informed consent. Okay? Confidentiality ensures that the source of the data that we have gathered remain hidden, no? And unidentified. No? That the answers that they give, no, are not to be haphazardly revealed, no, and to be used in some kind of non-research activities that would be to their disadvantage. No? Anonymity ensures this, no, that they remain, in general, the sample, okay, not to be identified individually or personally. But even if they are grouped within the general reference of the respondents, no? As in, the respondents say, or the informant says, no? In case of qualitative research, we must always get their consent. And this consent must be given in such a way that they understand the context of what they're about to get into. They understand what the research is all about and why they are being asked for certain things, no? For certain information. They should understand where the research is taking them. They should understand the purposes of the research, no? And how it will affect them in the future. This should be clarified to them before we ask if they agree to be part of the research or not. This is true whether or not we are in the classroom or outside of it, no? In many cases, we assume and we take it for granted that if our respondents are our students, then they should participate in the research, no? But it is always a very good practice, and it is always very good principle to ask them if they agree to be part of the research. Being part of the research means that they wholeheartedly agree with the issues surrounding the research, with the context of the research, and they are willingly participating in it. Now, certain aspects need to be brought out, no? There are certain levels of vulnerability among our respondents, among our informants, no? In the Philippine College of Criminology, for example, where I currently work, some respondents consist of inmates in correctional institutions, no? Now, these are very, very vulnerable. And if our students do choose to include them in the research, we emphasize to them the ethics of such an engagement. Many of us will also need to, may also find a basis for researching on teenage pregnancies, okay? Or single parents of our students, no? Remember also that researching on these kinds of topics will really invade on single mothers' privacies, on unwed mothers, private ideas and feelings and emotions, and the teenage mothers' circumstances also, no? So in these kinds of situations, in these kinds of researches, ethics is a very fundamental concern, no? Let us not say that wala namang na-harm sa kanila, no? Wala namang hindi naman sila na subject sa some kind of harassment from the authorities, no? Remember that harm is contextual in terms of its meaning. What is harmful for some may not be harmful for others, no? Your perspective or your understanding of harm may not be the same understanding that your respondents have, no? So always think of emphatic and relationships that might be different from what we experience. Okay, empathy, no? Okay. Empathetic context is very important in this regard, no? We try to put ourselves in the shoes of our respondents so that we can understand what that involvement means for them. Always remember that even different classes or categories of respondents may have different levels of harm. Now, what is harmful for an elementary student, for example, for a basic education student, may not be harmful for a respondent in the higher education, no? So what is harmful for a grade 4 pupil may not be harmful to a fourth year college student, and it may even have different levels of meaning for senior high school or junior high school students. So, lagi nating tatandaan yung context na ito, no? Of course, we have our own interests as well, no? And we say, hindi bale at yung research namin magagamit din naman ito sa policy making no? Kaya nga kami nagre-research tungkol sa mga basic education students so that the results of the research can be used in developing policies for the protection of basic education students. Kaya nga kami nag-aaral ng conditions ng teenage pregnancies o teenage mothers. Kaya nga kami nag-aaral ng contexts and experiences ng single mothers, no? Kasi we are aiming to come up with patterns of life and cultural contexts that might be very important in addressing the concerns of these sectors, no? Maaaring yan ang nasa likod ng ating research. But the interests of our research must be balanced with the rights of our subjects, okay? Let us not always insist we have a right to conduct research, no? Because this research is beneficial to society as a whole. Well, that is that, no? There is that. But we must also be concerned with the protection of the rights of our subjects as well, no? This is a kind of a tightrope walking here, no? So imagine we are trying to bridge a certain gap, and we are trying to balance ourselves, just like an acrobat might balance herself or himself on a wire high above the ground, no? A tight wire artist. That's the best way to metaphorize, no? Our conduct as researchers in this regard, no? And this kind of ethics permeates our project from beginning to end. Like for example, no, pumayag na siya na magpa-interview, no? Pagkatapos, during the interview, medyo may mga questions ka na naging uncomfortable siya, no? So in the middle of the interview, you began to delve deeper into the psychology and experience of your subject, no? And at that moment, your informant suddenly felt uncomfortable. He or she suddenly felt that, I'm not at liberty, or I don't feel really comfortable answering these questions. And she opts out of the research, no? At that part of the research, will you allow the informant to back out, no? Or will you say, nagsimula na tayo, let's just do this, no? I will give you a few minutes to gather yourself, no? I will give you a few minutes to drink a glass of water to calm yourself, and then let us continue. Okay, can you do that, no? Or just for the sake of finishing the interview, no? Or will you allow the respondent or the informant to back out, no? Because she is no longer comfortable with the continuation of the interview, no? Well, research ethics dictate that we ask the informant, no? Do you want a glass of water? And can you continue afterwards? We always give the informant the option to withdraw from the research project, no? That is the ethical thing to do. Okay? Let us make her comfortable. Let us suggest some things, but at the end of the suggestions, one question still has to be asked. Are you still comfortable with the project? Or would you like to withdraw from the project? That still has to be asked. Okay? And even after the interview, you're already, marshaling your data. You're already organizing your data. No? And then you received a call, or you received a message from the respondent. And the respondent now is saying, I was reflecting over some of the answers that I gave during our interview, and I realized that I cannot go through with it. No? So even if we have finished the interview, may I ask that you edit out my answers from your data? No? may I ask that you should not use our recorded interview in your research? That is an ethical dilemma. Okay? Tapos na yung interview. Tapos na yung data gathering mo sa kanya, no? At nakita mo, napakahalaga ng kanyang input, no? Napakahalaga ng kanyang input. Ito na yung hinahanap kong information, sasabihin mo, no? Without this information, medyo magtatagal na naman ako kasi maghahanap na naman ako ng validating information and data, no? Anong gagawin mo, no? Anong gagawin mo? Your right as a researcher or the right of your informant, no? Ethics dictates that if the informant informs you, tells you that she wants out of the project, you should give her that right, even at any stage of the research project, no? Even if the information and data you got would be the linchpin of your research, no? Do not use that information anymore. Okay? Delete that information, redact that information, and try to get it from another informant or another respondent, if you will, no? But respect the request of the informant. Oh, that is ethics at all stages of the research project. If the informant wishes out at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end of the interview, respect the rights of the informant. Okay? Of course, no, before you publish the results of your research, go back again to your informants, no? Especially if it is a qualitative research. Okay? Consult with them, deliberate with them. Do you still want me to go through with it? No? At every stage. Okay? Discuss and deliberate. Okay, this is the second part of our activity. No? So think of our population. Now think of your population or the topic that you selected. Are they all online? Okay. Remember, this is an online research that we will be conducting. No? If they are all online, design now a sampling frame for your study. Okay, design a sampling frame for your study. How large is your sample for each design? Compute your sample using what we are normally calling the Sloven's design. Okay. Or, if you look for Sloven's design in the internet, what they give you is another name, but it's still the same design. No? Sample is equal to the population over 1 plus the population multiplied by your error squared. Diba? So n, small n, is equal to big N over 1 plus NE squared. No? That is usually what we use because it's very easy to compute. No? Okay. So draw up the sample and then come up with an inclusion criteria for the subjects in your chosen study. Okay. These were discussed before. We do not need to belabor it. And then draft an informed consent letter for your respondents and informants. Okay. The informed consent letter is usually found at the beginning of our questionnaire, right? Of our tool, correct? No? In quantitative research, we place it after the letter to the respondent. Now, what does the letter to the respondent say? It says, "Dear respondent, right? We are currently conducting a study entitled, this is for the purpose of, rest assured that your answers will be treated with utmost confidentiality and your identity will be protected by the ethical principle of anonymity." Yeah, no? Respectfully, then your name as researcher. Below that, you have your informed consent. No? The informed consent is not your letter to the respondent. It is the respondent's letter to you as researcher. Diba? So parang ang nagsusulat nito yung respondent o yung informant. No? Na I hereby give my consent and I declare that I have been that the context of the research has been explained to me. The purposes of the research were made clear to me. I am participating with my own volition without any pressure or threat whatsoever. Yan, no? So letter yan, napipirmahan ng mga informants o mga respondents. Okay? In qualitative interviews, we usually ask a series of formulaic questions, no? At the beginning of the interview, which is recorded, no? Okay? Will you state your name? Were you paid? No? Were some considerations given for your participation? Do you declare that you are participating of your own volition and without any pressure or considerations whatsoever? Ganon, no? Ibabasa natin sa kanila. And sasagutin nila ng affirmative and affirmations after each question. So ganon, no? So for this, the informed consent will be something that will be integrated in our questionnaire in quantitative researches. It will be something that will be read to the respondents in a qualitative design. Okay, so let us have 15 minutes for this, no? As we summarize and apply the lessons that we learned in previous sessions on research ethics. The 15 minutes starts now.
Wala ka bang napapansin sa iyong mga kapaligiran? Kay dumi na ng hangin, pati na ang mga ilog natin. Hindi na masamang pagmulat at malayo-layo na rin ang ating darating. Ngunit masdan mo ang tubig sa dagat, dati kulay asul, ngayon'y naging itim. Ang mga duming ating ikinalat sa hangin, sa langit, huwag na nating paabutin. Upang kung tayo'y pumanaw man sa sariwang hangin, sa langit natin matitikman. Mayroon lang akong hinihiling, sa aking pagpanaw sana ay tagulan. Gitara ko ay aking dadalhin, upang sa ulan na lang tayo magkantahan. Ang mga bata ngayon lang isinilang, may hangin pa kayang matitikman. May mga puno pa kaya silang aakyatin, may mga ilog pa kayang lalamuyan. Bakit di natin pag-isipan ang nangyayari sa ating kapaligiran? Hindi nga masamang pagunlad kung hindi nakakasira ng kalikasan. Darating ang panahon, mga ibong dala ay wala nang madadala.
daguan. Masdan mo ang mga punong dati ay kay tatag, ngayon'y namamatay dahil sa ating kalokohan. Lahat ng bagay na narito sa lupa, biyayang galing sa Diyos kahit nung ika'y wala pa. Ingatan natin at huwag nang sirain pa, pagkat pag kanyang binawi tayo'y mawawala na.
Meron lang akong hinihiling, sa aking pagpanaw sana ay tagunan. Gitara ko ay aking dadalhin, upang sa ulat na lang tayo magkantaan. Sa gitna ng dilim, ako ay nakatanaw ng ilaw na kay panglaw. Halos di ko makita. Tulungan mo ako, ituro ang daan, sapagkat ako'y sabik sa aking pinagmulan. Bayan ko, naan ka? Ako ngayon'y nag-iisa. Nais kong magbalik sa iyo, bayan ko. Patawarin mo ako kung ako'y nagkamali sa landas na aking tinahak. Sa pagsibol ng araw hanggang dapit hapon, malamig na hangin ang aking kayakap. Huwag sanang hadlangan ang aking nilalandas, sapagkat ako'y sabik sa aking sininangan. Bayan ko, naan ka? Ako ngayon'y nag-iisa. Nais kong magbalik sa iyo, bayan ko. Patawarin mo ako kung ako'y Ikaw ba'y nalulungkot? Ikaw ba'y nag-iisa? Walang kaibigan, walang kasama. Ikaw ba'y nalilito? Pag-iisip mo'y nagugulo sa buhay ng tao, sa takbo ng buhay mo. Ikaw ba'y isang mayaman o ika'y isang mahirap lang? Sino sa inyong dalawa ang mas nahihirapan? Masdan mo ang mga bata, masdan mo ang mga bata. Ikaw ba'y walang nakikita sa takbo ng buhay nila? Masdan mo ang mga bata, ang buhay ay hawak nila. Masdan mo ang mga bata, ang sagot ay iyong makikita. Ikaw ba'y ang tao, walang pakialam sa mundo, ngunit ang katotohanan, ikaw may naguguluhan. Tayo ay naglalakbay, habol natin ang buhay, ngunit ang maging bata ba'y tulay tungo sa hanap nating buhay. Masdan mo ang mga bata, ang aral sa kanila makukuha. Ano nga ba ang gagawin sa buhay na hindi naman sa atin? Itanong mo sa mga bata, itanong mo sa mga bata, ano ang kanilang nakikita sa buhay na hawak nila. Masdan mo ang mga bata, sila ang tunay na pinagpala, kaya dapat nating pahalagahan, dapat din kayang kaligpitan. Masdan mo ang mga bata, masdan mo ang mga bata. Ikaw ba'y walang nakikita sa takbo ng buhay nila? Masdan mo ang mga bata, ang buhay ay hawak nila. Masdan mo ang mga bata, ang sagot ay iyong makikita.
Ako'y isinilang sa isang bayan ng Cotabato, kasing gulo ng tao, kasing gulo ng mundo. Dahil di magkasundo sa relihiyon at prinsipyo, nagkagulo. Ang bayan ko sa Cotabato, kasing gulo ng isip ko. Di alam saan nang galing, di alam saan patungo. Kapatid sa kapatid, laman sa laman, sila-silang naglalaban. Di ko alam ang dahilan ng gulo. Bakit nagkaganon ang sagot sa tanong ko? Bakit kayo nag-away? Bakit kayo nagkagulo? Prinsipyo mo'y igagalang ko kung ako'y iyong nirespeto. Kung natulungan kayo,
Okay, so I, no, I'm sorry for the uh, uh, the participants who weren't able to screenshot the activity. No, uh, I unwittingly stopped na click yung sharing kaya nawala. No, so there. No, at any rate, you will be given enough time later on for completing the activities in this module. Okay, so let's proceed. No, activity 3, no, will now be on ethical frameworks. Okay, no, now a certain kind of clarification is needed here. No, in the educational sector where we generally work, no, there is a standard IPOO design for many of our researches. No, the input, process, output, outcome uh, design. No? Now, this conceptual framework is being used in many theses, action researches, dissertations, etc. But in publications, no, uh, usually what publishing, what journals require from us is a theoretical framework that links our input variable into certain relationships. Okay? So generally, kung titignan mo yung IPOO process na nakasanayan natin at titignan natin yung hinihingi ng mga publishers, no, ng mga journals, nakafocus siya doon sa process. Okay? Kasi doon sa process normally, that is where we put in our variables and what we do to to bring out the results and the answers to our research problems. Okay, we focus on that, and we focus generally on the relationships of the variables that we have identified. Okay, gagawin natin ito sa ating questions na formulate na. Okay, so the activity that we will now be engaging is designing our theoretical framework. And we will do this, no? For our quantitative design, remember we have one topic. Let us now focus on the quantitative design for that topic. Okay, I gave you an example a while ago, and I will use this to illustrate the output for this activity. Yung topic natin kanina is on student delivery riders, right? The Philippine College of Criminology, no? Learning on Wheels ang ating working title. And perhaps we can formulate certain questions on that topic, no? Based on that topic. And we can select some variables, no? From that. The activity will require us to delineate 2 independent variables, 1 moderator variable, 1 dependent variable. Okay, we will list down these variables and diagram them according to the standard theoretical schema. So this is a very simple schema, but this is what most journals are looking for, not the IPOO diagram, but this simple diagram which illustrates the relationship of our variables. So we have 2 independent variables affecting the dependent variable, and we have 1 moderator variable in this basic schema that affects the relationships between the independent variables and our dependent variable. No? Let me give you an illustration based on the topic that we selected a while ago. Learning on Wheels. Diba? Focus on the student delivery riders in the Philippine College of Criminology. Okay, this is how I will rephrase my question, no, for our research. Now, note that the research question summarizes in a single sentence or in 2 sentences what I plan to do with my variables. It does not follow the standard setup in theses and dissertations, no? Theses and dissertations, we normally enumerate our so-called SOPs, right? No? After we state the general problem. Okay, so the research will address, sasabihin natin, the general problem, and specifically, the research address the following SOPs, statements of the problem. Diba? So we have normally 3, 4, or even 5 up to 6 SOPs na tinatawag natin na naka-enumerate. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, ganyan, di ba? In researches for publications, we don't do this, no? We don't enumerate our research problems, and we do not go up to 6, 4, or even 3 research problems. In writing for publications, we normally focus on 1 and at most 2 focal research problems so that the paper becomes tightly worked or tight around this single or 2 research problems. Now, here is an example based on our working title a while ago in our topic. The study, thus, after your literature, okay, after your investigative context, the study thus addresses the question of how student delivery riders' academic performance is influenced by selected demographic factors, particularly their year levels and gender. Additionally, it will explore how these relationships might be affected by delivery companies they are working for. Okay, note that we adopted the option of stating the problem in a declarative manner. It is not expressed in an interrogative manner, but you may also that if that is your style. Okay, if you want the interrogative expression, the study addresses this question: how do selected demographic factors, particularly their year levels and gender, influence student delivery riders' academic performance? Question mark. Diba? You may want to do that, no? Okay. Additionally, how are the relationships affected by the delivery companies they are working for? Question mark. Okay, pwede rin yun, no? But the important thing is IMRAD formats, which publications are looking for, no? You do not number the questions. You declare it or you write them down in discursive format, no? In a discussion form or in a paragraph form like this. And then you might schematize the relationship in this manner. Okay, year level to academic performance, gender to academic performance, and delivery company is the moderator variable that influences these relationships above. Okay, so using that as an example, I will now restore you to the activity question, to the activity instructions, and allow you to work on your own chosen problems. Okay, so let us have 10 minutes for this, and the 10 minutes should start now.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it necessary to have hello?
Can we stop the music first, please? Because there is a question online.
Sir, is it necessary
Okay.
to have 2 independent variables po or depende po sa mga study po na i-propose?
Ma'am, in studies like this, there will always be a dependent variable. There can be no research without yes, because even if you have a descriptive research, for example, no, in quantitative researches, descriptive studies are always of 2 types. Relational type, where you correlate variables, right? No, and there will be dependent and independent variables there. And the second type is the causal correlation,
I
where
mean,
yes, ma'am.
I mean po sir, 2 independent variables po. Or pwede lang po
Kailangan ba
isa.
dalawa?
Yes po. Ang independent variables po.
You can have 3, ma'am, if that is your design already, no? You can have. Okay? Pero para hindi tayo magtagal, ilimit natin ito siguro, no? Ang inisip natin nung gumawa tayo ng activity, 2 lang para magkasya sa 10 minutes, no? Kasi kung 3 yung pipili nating independent variables, baka hindi tayo umabot sa 10 minutes. But if you can, no, rapidly design this, then please do so, no? You're encouraged to come up with more independent variables, no? Although for the purpose of the exercise, two independent variables would do.
Hindi pwede
Okay pa?
isa, sir.
Yeah. Ma'am, pala, is it okay to have one only?
Independent variable po, sir. One dependent
only?
variable. Yes po.
Subukan nating 2 po, ha, kasi meron akong i-discuss kanina na pang-illustrate nung value ng 2 variables. Okay po? Yan, subukan nating 2 po, no? Sa halip na 1 lang, no?
Yes po. Yes po.
Okay po, sige. Okay, let us reset. The 10 minutes starts now.
Ako ay namulat sa napakalaking gulong dahil walang respeto sa
Excuse me po, Sir Andaya. Ngayon lang po ako na-reconnect due to
Yes po.
internet connection po. Kami lang po yung bahala dito sa gagawin namin na activity, sir.
Yes, sir. Actually, in the previous activities, the participants were requested of their own topic, no? And from that topic, designing a quantitative framework for that topic. Okay po, so in short, kayo po yung bahala, no, na mag-draw up ng mga variables ninyo mula dun sa topic na napili nyo kanina. Pero kung kapapasok nyo lang po, ganun yung gagawin nyo po, no? Isip kayo ng topic, isip kayo ng research problem, and then subukan nating gawan ng schema yung naisip nyo na research topic. Okay po?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem po.
prinsipyo ng kapwa-tao, kapwa Pilipino ay pinapahirapan mo. Ang gulo. Ako'y nananawagan, humihingi ng tulong nyo. Kapayapa'y bigyan ng daan, kapayapaan sa bayan ko. Bakit kailangan pang maglaban? Magkapatid kayo sa dugo. Kailan kayo magkakasundo? Kapayapa'y kailan matatamo ng bayan ko? Kung ako'y may maitutulong, tutulong ng buong puso. Gitara ko'y aking inaalay, kung magkatuloy gamitin mo. Kung ang kalabay walang puso, puso na rin ang gamitin mo. Ituring mong sangkaibigan, isipin mong siya'y may puso ring katulad mo. Sa bayan kong sinilangan, sa timog ko tabato, ako ay namulat sa napakalaking gulong. Dahil walang respeto sa prinsipyo ng kapwa-tao, kapwa Pilipino
Okay, so let us resume. No? Let me make some comments about these simple paradigms that we have selected. No, this is a very simple and very basic model, no, that we have. No, of course, in our researchers, we can add as many variables as we can into the diagram, into our concepts, into our framework, so that the study will become more interesting, no, and imminently more publishable. No? That's why a while ago, when somebody asked if they are required to have only 2 independent variables, my answer was you can have more, in fact, no, and it will make the study more complex, more interesting, and more valuable for policymaking purposes. Like, for example, what can I add here? No, for a year level for the independent variables, I can add, for example, time spent in the delivery service. No, if they are working for how many hours per day. So I can come up with a numerical variable called delivery times. No, which means 1 hour only, 1 per day, or 2 hours per day, 4 hours, or even up to 10 hours per day. I can add incomes per day or daily incomes, no? Because that incomes might affect their academic performance, it might affect their year levels, and it might affect the hours that they put in at work, no? I might also add as another variable the scope of their delivery, no, and measure it in terms of kilometers from the school or kilometers from a certain base, no, a certain point of reference, no. Like, for example, I can work for a delivery distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even up to 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers from their residence, no, or from the school, from the PCCR, no. Now, this demographic profile variables, if you now have 3, 4, 5, or even 6 variables, we can come up with a more complex type of analysis. No, we can investigate how these independent variables do not only affect academic performance, but also each other, such that all of them will become moderator variables of the others. Okay. This will result in a more complex analysis. We might use, for example, linear regression or multilinear regression to explain the relationships that will exist between and among these multiple variables, no? And that will definitely make our study more interesting and increase publication possibilities by a factor of around 2 or 3, no? Mas maganda, therefore, no? Kung mas marami tayong variable, kasi pwede nating pagbangga-banggain sila against each other, no? Then we can do analysis, we can do path analysis, we can do linear regression, and we can make the other variables influence, no, the other variables, and find out which of these variables will have the biggest influence or the biggest impact on our dependent variable, given the mediating or the moderating or the intervening effects of each other. No? So, bawat isa, gagawin natin, i-propose natin na gagawin natin silang variable ng mga ibang independent variables at pagbabangga-banggain natin sila sa isang model. Okay? So, that, of course, will be something that we will aspire for, no? Make a more complex study and make a more interesting study with the addition of several variables into our model, no? But for now, let us satisfy ourselves with this, kasi kung gagawa tayo ng isang komplikadong project na ganon, ay aabutin tayo siguro ng isang araw, no? And we would like to reserve the bottom half of this day for activities also. Now, remember that we have one topic, right? Amenable to different approaches. So yung topic na yan, dito sa activity na to, ginawan natin ng quantitative design. Gawan naman natin ng qualitative design, yung topic na ganyan. So in qualitative designs, we require not a schematic diagram or a theoretical framework linking variables, but what we will require is called a concept map. No? Why is it a concept map? Because in qualitative researches, we relegate theoretical explanations to the side. In qualitative researches, we rarely start with a theory. No? Unlike in quantitative, where we start with a theoretical framework. In qualitative researches, we allow the theory to emerge, from our output. And rarely, if ever, will we use a beginning theory that will guide us in our investigation. What we come up with, however, is a preliminary idea which we hope will be validated by our research. So instead of theoretical framework, what we have in qualitative studies are step maps, okay, where we relate one concept to another, and where we come up with the idea that they might explain the phenomenon that we are investigating. This is not a theory. It is a possible relation of concepts that we might be able to validate with our qualitative design, or disprove using also that qualitative design. Okay, so for this activity, let us focus on the qualitative design for our topic. Okay, so for the qualitative design, focus on the main research problem and schematize the map. The concept map should have at least 4 concepts related to one another, such as the illustration below. Okay, let me give you an example so that it will be clearer. Same topic, same topic. Learning on wheels. Experiences of student delivery riders in the Philippine College of Criminology. But this is how a qualitative study might approach it. Okay, the study, furthermore, basing from the initial exploration of the literature, explores how student delivery riders might perceive the effect of their academic schedules or their time slots on their academic performance. Additionally, the following are investigated: how academic performance affects delivery loads and thus potential incomes, and how this in turn influences their academic advancement or year level. Finally, the study explores how the student delivery rider's academic level influences their choice of academic schedules. So we come up with these relationships of concepts that the year level or the academic schedule or both will influence how they perform academically, and how this performance in their academics will influence their delivery loads, the number of loads they deliver, the number of packages, deliveries in a day, or the heaviness or the degree of load that they transport, and how these loads will affect advancement from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 until graduating year, and how these year levels in turn will influence how they choose their time slots in the academy. Now, using this as an example, do so also for your own topics. You have approached them a while ago using quantitative designs. Now approach them a qualitative design. Okay, so here we relate concepts, and the concepts may be investigated in a meaningful way, not numerically, but in meaningful ways. Okay, so let us have 10 minutes for this, for the concept map. Okay, let me set my clock. The 10 minutes starts now.
pagsisisi. Nakita mo na ba ang mga bagay na dapat mong makita? Nagawa mo na ba ang mga bagay na dapat mong ginawa? Kalagan ng tali sa paa, timulat ng iyong mga mata. Kay sarap ng buhay lalo na't alam mo kung saan papunta. May mga taong bulag kahit dilat ang mata. May mga taong tinatalian sariling kamay at paa. Problema'y tinatalikdan, salamin sa mata'y hindi makita. Isarap ng umaga lalo na kung ika'y gising. Tanghali maligaya kung ika'y may makakain. Ang gabi ay mapayapa kung mahal sa buhay ay kapiling. Kay sarap ng buhay lalo na't alam mo kung saan papunta. Gising na kaibigan ko, ganda ng buhay ay nasa sayo. Ang oras daw ay ginto, kinakalawang lang pag ginamit mo. Kailan ka pa magbabago? Kailan ka pa matututo? Ang lahat ng ilog sa dagat patungo, sanang isipan at mararating mo. Kay ganda ng buhay sa mundo. Nakita mo na ba ang mga bagay na dapat mong makita? Nagawa mo na ba ang mga bagay na dapat mong ginawa? Kalagan ng tali sa paa, timulat ng iyong mga mata. Kay sarap ng buhay lalo na't alam mo kung saan papunta. Kay sarap ng buhay lalo na't alam mo kung saan papunta.
สวัสดีค่ะนดนะคะ วันนี้เราอยู่กับคุณเอยจากอายิโนโมโตะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
วันนี้คุณเอยจะมาพูดถึงโครงการเพื่อความยั่งยืนของบริษัทให้เราฟัง
ไร่มันสำปะหลังแห่งนี้นะคะ เป็นของเกษตรกรที่เข้าร่วมโครงการกับทางอายิโนโมโตะค่ะ และมันสำปะหลังนี้นะคะ ก็เป็นวัตถุดิบหลักในการผลิตผงชูรสของเราค่ะ
Lapit mga kaibigan at makinig kayo. Ako'y may dala-dalang balita galing sa bayan ko. Nais kong ipamahagi ang mga kwento at mga pangyayaring nagaganap sa lupang pinangako. Ang lupang pinanggalingan ko'y may bahin ng dugo. May mga lorong di makalipan na sa hawlang ginto. May mga punong walang dahon, mga pusong di makakibo sa mga pangyayaring nagaganap sa lupang pinangako. Mula nang makita ko ang lupang ito, nakita ko rin ang munting apoy sa puso ng tao. Ginatungan ng mga kabulukan hanggang sa lumago. Ngayon ang puso'y may takot sa lupang ipinangako. Lapit mga kaibigan at makinig kayo. Ako'y may dala-dalang balita galing sa bayan ko. Nais kong ipamahagi ang mga kwento at mga pangyayaring nagaganap sa lupang ipinangako. Dati-rati ang mga bukid ay kulay ginto. Dati-rati ang mga ibon singlaya ng tao. Dati-rati ay katahimikan ang musikang nagpapatulog sa mga batang walang uwang sa mundo. Ngayon ang lupang ipinangako ay nagsusumamo. Patakan nyo ng luha ang apoy sa kanyang puso. Dinggin nyo ang mga sigaw ng mga puso ng taong kung inyong dadamhin kabilang sa inyo. Duol mga kaigsunan nung paminaw kamo. Doon ako'y dala ng mga balita gikan sa banwa ko. Gusto ko nga ipahibalo ang mga istorya nga nagakahitabo sa banwang bisad nato.
Okay, so let's resume. Now that we have tried to investigate, to try out how we might design a quantitative or a qualitative design on our topic, let us go to trying out a mixed methods design, no, for our topics. The activity here will involve something other than conceptual framing or theoretical framing. No, it will involve trying to mix the two kinds of approaches in addressing our main research problem. So for the mixed methods design in activity 5, the last design was mistakenly labeled activity 3. Now this is it should be activity 4. Now for the mixed methods design, let us focus on the main research problem and schematize the mixed methods process, such as in this illustration below. Now, if you look at the illustration, you will already conclude that the study that is chosen for the approach that is chosen study is a sequential explanatory approach, right? No? The sequential explanatory approach in mixed methods design starts off with a quantitative component. No? We gather data in the quantitative component, and then we analyze the data, okay, and see what it suggests. We look at the findings. We try to come up with certain preliminary conclusions, no, based on the findings. And then after we analyze the findings, we now embark on the component of the study. Okay? The qualitative component study will try now to investigate further or to put more context or to deepen the analysis of the quantitative component. This is why this kind of design is called sequential explanatory design. No? Sequential because the quantitative and the qualitative components are done one after the other. We start off and follow it with the quali. It is explanatory because the quali component will try to put in more context, more depth, explanations into the quanti results. So we first gather data and analyze that data for our quanti component and explore for further explanations in the quali component afterwards. No? So it's sequential, one quanti after before another quali, and it's explanatory since the quali attempts to explain further or deepen further the findings of the quanti component. After the quali component comes now the integration, and we mix the processes together to come up with a singular design. No? With a now, what happens if the quanti clash with the quali results? No? What happens if the quali results are in contrast with the quanti results? No? Now, the process of reconciling them, the process of integrating them, the process of explaining such possible variations will be done itself. No? Here is where we will face the greatest challenge of looking at the research project as a whole and trying to make sense out of the results. No? This is where we will come up now with a singular flow in our logic with an integrated and coordinated explanation of the sense of what we found out. Okay? Medyo okay tayo kapag consistent, di ba? Pero pag lumabas na medyo parang iba ang lumalabas sa quali, yan ang challenge, no? Of not negating the results of the quanti, not rejecting the results of the quanti, but using the quali to put in certain angles that perhaps were not explored in the quanti component. The quali results may not be that contrasting with the quanti results, because they might focus on other angles, on other facets of the project that may not have been considered when we designed the quanti component. And so the quali expands the interpretations. The quali deepens the interpretations. The quali puts other facets into the investigation. And that will be our major challenge in the integration of the research. Okay? Again, let me have simple output. No? In this output, based on our topic again of delivery riders, students of the PCCR, Philippine College of Criminology, we designed first a quanti component, no? Where the data gathering will be a survey in G forms. No? The data that we gathered from the survey will be treated via two-way ANOVA and independent samples t-tests. No? Two-way ANOVA because the design involves year levels, right? No? And we will be comparing 4 different groups of delivery riders, no? First-year group, second-year group, third-year group, and fourth-year group in relation to their academic performances. No? And of course, it is a two-way ANOVA because we will be inputting a third variable, right? No? The delivery company, no? That they are working for. No? In the independent samples t-test, we will be doing some elaboration. Gender versus academic performance, the gender of the delivery riders. Now, you may be surprised to learn, no, that in the PCCR, male to female delivery riders are nearly equal, no? Ito rin yung nakakagulat no nung nag kami ng mga admissions, no? At pumupunta sila, no? Trabaho mo, meron ka bang trabaho ngayon? Delivery rider po. At napapansin namin, no? Halos equal, no? Halos equal. Nakakarami ng konti yung mga lalaking delivery riders, pero hindi nalalayo, no? Yung mga female na delivery riders. And perhaps, no, we suspect that in other universities, other colleges, this may be true as well, no? Well, we will not know until we have done a study on that, no? But in the PCCR, this is quite interesting, no? A very potential interesting matter for investigation, no? But we would like to find out further, no, how a quali study might deepen, no, the findings from the quantitative study. So we will design a data gathering methodology of online interviews, no. We can have 2 types, no, one-on-one interviews, or we can schedule a kind of a class interview, what we call a focus group discussion, employing 8 to 12 members per group. No, a series of group interviews may be adopted for this design. No, and then from the interviews, we will conduct a thematic analysis. No, in order to come up with validating or contextualizing findings for our quanti results. No, and then we will mix these two, no, afterwards, and come up with a comprehensive study or picture of how delivery riders are affected by their demographic profiles in performing academically. Okay, so yan, ganyan kasimple yung ating task for activity 5. Data gathering lang yun, and then data analysis, data gathering din, and then data analysis, and then mixing. Okay, so I suppose 10 minutes should be enough for this again, no? It's merely an identification of processes. Okay, there is a chat here. Need ang matrix or pwede mag-create kami ng amin po. Now, that's a very good suggestion, no? We designed this matrix because it is based on the standard sequential explanatory design of Creswell. Okay? Ayan, no? But as we proposed when we did the quantitative study a while ago, the quantitative approach a while ago, remember that in the processing of the activity, what we did was suggest the possibility of several independent variables, no, which we could mix up as moderator variables for one another in a linear regression study. Okay, now that can be also, this is a basic design of a mixed method research using the sequential explanatory design of Creswell. But if if you are more adventurous than the others and would like to design your own mixed methods design, you can do so, of course. Creswell limits us to 6 designs only, sequential designs and 3 concurrent designs. But if you encountered other mixed method designs in your literature, in your studies, in your as a researcher, then please do so. Please do so. So see, this is with regard to the question of Sir Arvin. Need po ba i-follow ang matrix or pwede po mag-create kami ng amin? Yan, thank you. So Sir Arvin, you can. This is based again on the sequential explanatory design of Creswell, but you may create your own design. Okay, using a quanti component and a quali component. Okay, never make the mistake, however, of having only a quanti component and then analyzing the quantitative results qualitatively. Okay, so if you use a quantitative component and then the results of the quantitative design will be interpreted extensively in a discussion form, qualitatively in a discussion form, careful, because that is not a mixed methods design. It is a quantitative design. Okay? Remember also that if you used content analysis in design and you included numerical counting of certain codes or certain codes, or you used a kind of a percentage comparison of urgent concepts in your qualitative design. Like, for example, I want to do a content analysis of the columns of Ramon Tulfo, in the Philippine Star. So Ramon Tulfo writes in the Philippine Star, and I have a collection of his columns from 2020 to 2022 on COVID management. Okay, so I will do a content analysis of Tulfo's columns from 2020 to 2022 on COVID management, and my research question is, are they critical of government COVID management policies, or are they supportive of government COVID management policies? And so I count, I count the number of columns that he had written that is support. I count the number of columns that is critical, and I come up with a number of the columns that he had written which are in between. So I say, for example, in my results that, well, I found out through a content analysis that 75% of his columns are supportive of government COVID management policies, and 25% are critical of government COVID management policies. And then I will do some kind of an analysis using quotes that I picked from the columns. Okay. The supportive comment columns are characterized by the following themes, sasabihin ko, and then an example of these themes. As an example of these themes, I will quote from Ramon Tulfo's columns certain memorable quotes or certain quotes that make an impact. Okay, but remember, I started with 75% and 25%. Even if I use percentages in that research, my research is not a quantitative qualitative research. In qualitative, use numerical values, you can use percentages, but it will not be a mixed methods research. Okay, it will not be a mixed methods research. It will be qualitative research. No? So mixed methods research are different. No? You have a quanti component which uses a quantitative design, and you have a qualitative component which uses qualitative design. No? And then you either conduct them concurrently, or you can conduct them sequentially. Yeah. So very careful of that, no? Of that distinction. Okay. So let us see the chat, no? Good day, sir, says Sir Elimar. Are these two scenarios considered to be using mixed methods approach? A, quantitative data are collected and analyzed. Then, based from this, qualitative data are gathered and analyzed, similar to example. And B, quantitative data are gathered and analyzed to answer objective 1 only. Then, qualitative data gathered and analyzed for objective 2 alone. No, sir. No, sir. For mixed methods designs, your problems, if you have 2 problems, are to be answered first using a quantitative design. Okay? And then, both objectives again are answered using a qualitative design. Only you can choose which one to go first. No? If you choose quantitative design to go first, that is a quantitative explanatory mixed methods design. If you want the qualitative to go first, that is a sequential exploratory design. If you want to go with them simultaneously, then you have concurrent designs, no? Concurrent embedded designs. Okay? But use one to answer objective 1 and the other objective 2. Okay? Yeah, no? That is not what we mean by a mixed methods design, no? In a mixed methods design, you use one approach to answer all your problems, and then you use the second to either validate or explore further your answers to both problems again. You do not divide problems, no? You do not divide. Why, no? Why? Because in designing a research, both objectives are part of the main problem. They are part of the general problem. So you don't divide them by mixing up your approaches. Okay po? Now that is not what a mixed methods design is for. Objectives to be answered by different designs. Okay, so you answer both problems using one design, and then you answer the same problem, both problems also using a qualitative design, and then you integrate the results. Okay, such that you have a mixed methods analysis of both problems. Okay po, Sir Elimar?
Good morning, sir.
Yes,
So,
sir.
can I ask po? So, does that mean po na the second scenario can never exist as a way of
What second
treating your
scenario po?
data?
What second scenario?
Yung letter B, sir, na na-divide kasi siya from yung objective 1 is treated and gathered and analyzed quantitatively, and the second is analyzed qualitatively.
Yes.
So is there a possibility that a research method would be like that? Then if it's possible, how do we call it?
Yeah. Yung letter A mo dito, quantitative data are collected and analyzed. Then based on this, qualitative data are gathered and analyzed, similar to the example. Yes, quantitative data are collected and analyzed to answer all your problems.
Tama
Okay?
po, tama.
And then based on this, based on the results of the quantitative method, you design a qualitative one to either validate, deepen, contextualize your findings in the first.
Yes, sir. So
Yes.
that's quite mixed method.
That's using the sequential explanatory design
Approach. Yes, sir.
Okay. But if you use qualitative data. Qualitative data are collected, then analyzed, then based on this, quantitative data are gathered again. No, that is called the potential exploratory design. Okay, ability is you use quantitative data first, and then you use qualitative data, and then try to use both of them in answering your questions in support of a theoretical construct that is called sequential transformatory design. Okay, it cannot be that letter B, quantitative data are gathered and analyzed to answer one objective only, and then qualitative data are gathered objective 2. That cannot be possible because objective 1 and objective 2 are sub-questions of a general, correct, sir? Objective 1 exists separately from objective 2. Objective 1, objective 2, and objective 3, if you have still objective 3, are of the main problem that you are investigating. Okay po?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you to Sir Elmar. That's a very interesting question, no? Glad we clarified it. Okay, ngayon natin sisimulan yung 10, after clarifying Sir Elimar's question.
Panahon ng pagkakataon, may babalik bang kahapon? Natatandaan mo pa ba nang tayong dalawa'y unang magkita? Panahon ng kamusmusan sa piling ng mga bulaklak at halaman, doon tayo nagsimula mangarap at tulad. Natatandaan mo pa ba inukit kong puso sa punong mangga at ang inalay kong bumamela, magkahawak kamay sa dalampasigan, malayang tulad ng mga ibon, ang gunita ng ating kahapon. Ang mga puno't halaman ay kabiyak ng ating gunita. Sa paglipas ng panahon, bakit kailangan ding lumisan? Panahon ng pagkakataon, may babalik bang kahapon? Ngayong ikaw ay nagbalik, tulad tuwing ang iyong pananapik, makita ang dating kanlungan, tahanan ng ating tulak at pangarap, ngayon ay naglaho na. Saan nahanapin pa? Lumilipas ang panahon, kabiyak ng ating gunita. kabiyak ng ating gulita. Ang mga puno't halaman, bakit kailangan lumisan? Panapanahon ng pagkakataon, may babalik ba ang kahapon? Bakit di ko maamin sa'yo ang tunay na awitin ng loob ko? Di ko nais mabuhay pa kung wala sa piling mo. Ngunit di ko pa rin maamin sa iyo. Di malaman ang sasabihin pagharap ka, ngunit nililingon naman pag tumaraan na. Kay laking pagkakamali kung di niya malalaman. Kaya't sa awitin kong ito'y padarama. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Sa awitin kong ito'y madarama. Maya, maya, maya. At kung ako'y lumipas at limot na, ang awitin kong ito'y alaala pa. Awitin ang damdamin ko sa'yo maiiwan. Sa pagbulong ng hangin ng nakaraan, o sa pagbulong ng hangin ng nakaraan. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Sa awitin kong ito'y madarama.
hangganan. Ang buhay ng tao sadyang misteryoso. Di mo alam kung kailan ang katapusan. Ngunit ika'y maaalala sa mga kwento mong madrama at hindi malilimutan ang iyong mga kalokohan at ika'y pag-uusapan at pagtatawanan, ngunit mamumulila sa iyong paglisan. Ang buhay nga naman kay lalim ng kahulugan. Di mo alam kung ano ang kapalaran. Ang buhay ng tao sa ibabaw ng mundo. Di mo batid kung ano ang iyong daratnan. Ngunit ika'y maaalala sa mga kwento mong madrama at hindi malilimutan ang iyong mga kalokohan at ika'y pag-uusapan at pagtatawanan, ngunit mamumulila sa iyong paglisan. Ang buhay ng
sa ibabaw ng mundo, paikot-ikot at sadyang mapaglaro. Ngunit ika'y maaalala sa mga kwento mong madrama, at hindi malilimutan ang iyong mga kalokohan, at ika'y pag-uusapan at pagtatawanan, ngunit mamumulila sa iyong paglisan, ngunit mamumulila sa iyong paglisan.
Okay, so there, no? So 15 minutes, siguro naman medyo may maluwag-luwag na konti yung ating time slot para doon, no? Now, here is a question, no? As you are doing the quanti component of the study, this sequential explanatory mixed methods design. Nauna yung quanti, no? Suppose after doing the analysis for quanti, you realize that there are questions, further questions that came out. You realize that new possibilities, no, are coming out in your research, no. At alam mong susunod yung qualitative na component, di ba? Should you address that emerged from the quantitative component in your qualitative side, no? In your qualitative, yun yung tanong, no? So ulit, ka, no? Nag-quanti research ka, nag-quanti component ka. Ina-analyze mo na yung data mo, no? Nagawan mo na ng statistical tinitignan mo na siya, nagsusulat ka na, no? Tapos na-realize mo, merong mga questions, no? Okay. Alam mong susunod yung quali mo, di ba? Sequential no? Susunod yung quali design mo na i-implement mo. Ang tanong, will you address these fresh, new questions that came out of your quantitative in your qualitative component? Okay? Will you limit your qualitative component to the same problems that you addressed in your quantitative component? No? Oh, may bagong lumabas na questions ka. Alam mong may susunod kang quali, isasali mga bagong questions na yan sa qualitative component mo, which comes after quantitative component. Okay? Now, to address this question, remember that you have a research question at the beginning of your project, right? No? And you specified sub-questions, no? Sub-problems for this research question. Your research, therefore, is specifically designed to answer preset, predetermined questions, which are carefully outlined in the scope and the limitations of your research, right? The answer, therefore, is if there are emergent questions, fresh questions, new and exciting ideas, no, that came out of your quantitative study, park it, set it aside. Set it aside. Why? Because material for another research. Research for a next research. Okay? Never give in to the temptation. Napakalaki yung temptation kasi na, uy, may mga bago akong questions and these are very exciting questions na lumalabas sa aking quanti component, no? itakal ko na siya sa aking qualitative component, no, para masagot ko na, no. Resist the temptation, no? Kasi dito sa research na to, ang sinasagot mo lang yung questions na nakalimit na sa paper mo. You have set the questions that you have planned to look for answers, no? Kaya i-park mo na yung mga fresh and exciting questions, new and exciting questions na to, at gawin mo yung quality mo to explain yung mga initial questions, yung mga original. Resist the temptation to go to the next, because that is a new, okay? That is a new project that you can do, no? Okay? Ang gagawin mo lang, yung mga new questions na yan, ilagay mo doon sa recommendations for further research doon katapusan ng research mong ito, no? Okay? Para i-engage mo na naman sila sa isang panibagong later on, no? Pwedeng quanti ulit, pwedeng quali ulit, pwedeng mixed methods ulit, no? Okay? So, huwag mong idagdag, revise your questions in the first place para ma-add mo siya, no? Bakit kasi sayang yung opportunity to engage in another research, no? To engage in another project. Okay? Yan, no? Tama si Sir Levy, no? Tama si Sir Levy, no? Ang daming mga posibleng research na lumalabas ngayon, no? Lalong-lalo na, hindi pa natin na-exhaust yung mga possibilities for research ng pandemic, no? The new and exciting delivery platforms na generate niya. Dumarating na naman yung new phase natin, bagong phase na naman, yun. Balik sa face-to-face, pero hindi kinakalimutan yung mga lessons online. So remember, the coming up from high, no, from high above us, no, the departmental orders and the CHED memorandum circulars, no, the CMOs, no, they propose to the face-to-face, no? But that return doesn't mean, and neither will DepEd or CHED suggest a total return to the traditional method, because both departments knew, or both know the possibilities and exciting methodologies na ipinasok ng COVID era, no, sa educational environment. At hindi napakawalan itong mga ito. Babalik tayo sa face-to-face. There are some educational principles that will be compromised by a purely delivery method, no? Kaya mahalaga pa rin realization principles na dadalhin sa atin ng contact, ng physical and face-to-face real-time contact between ourselves and our students, ourselves and fellow teachers, between students and their fellow themselves and their classmates, and among the various other states we have in the school, no? Mahalaga pa rin 'yon. Pero hindi sinasabi ng DepEd at hindi sinasabi ng CHED na bitawan natin yung mga natutunan natin sa educational tech. At yung way forward natin is a new phase. A new phase where we will be using traditional methods of teaching with new education in a face-to-face component. It will be high flex in a definition of the term, no? Hybrid flexible, diba? A hybrid referring to the modality, no? Flexible referring to pedagogy, and the modality pedagogy integrations. Very, very exciting for us, no? And it will be a very exciting prospect also for research. Okay, no? Next activity is a very simple activity. It is simply now an identification of our specific data gathering materials. Okay, so activity 6 is for each of the, diba? Tatlong design, quantitative and mixed methods designs, no? Choose the appropriate tools and materials. Okay. Number 2, construct a draft data gathering tool. Not fit into the 10 minutes. A complete data gathering tool kasi some time to construct, no? So let's just try to come up with a draft data gathering tool with the main questions included, no? Let's limit a single paged tool which we will continue to develop later on, no? If we want to pursue the research in a different setup, not like this very training program, no? So basic questions lang. One, we can develop that further later. We can extend that later if we decide to research, no? And then choose the appropriate techniques for treating and analyzing data, no? For the quantitative, of course, no? You have the statistical tools. For qualitative, you have the qualitative data analysis techniques, no? Like coding, memoing, actual coding, etc. No? Okay. Line coding, actual coding, and then memoing, and then thematic construction, and then pool analysis, swarm analysis, etc. No? So there are your instructions. No? For this, it's a simple enumeration lang siguro, no? Except for number 2, which is quite intensive to construct. No? But remember, limit yourselves to 1 page lang muna. No? We'll develop it later. Okay, only for the purposes of submitting a draft data gathering tool to i.LEAD. Okay, so let's to 15 minutes para meron tayong enough time to complete activity. And the 15 minutes will start now.
Kung tayo ay matanda na, sana'y di tayo magbago. Kailanman, nasaan may ito ang pangarap ko. Makuha mo pa kaya ako'y hagkan at yakapin. Sa pagtanda natin, nagtatanong lang sa'yo, ako pa kaya'y ibigin mo? Kung maputi na ang buhok ko, pagdating ng araw, ang iyong buhok ay puputi na rin. Sabay tayong mangangarap ng nakaraan sa atin. Ang nakalipas ay ibabalik natin. Paalala ko sa'yo ang aking pangako na ang pag-ibig ko'y lagi sa'yo. Kahit maputi na ang buhok ko, na 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 da na 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 na. Ang nakalipas ay ibabalik natin. sa'yo. Kahit maputi, kahit maputi, kahit maputi na ang buhok ko. Parang kailan lang ang mga pangarap ko'y kay hirap abutin. Dahil sa inyo, napunta ako sa aking nais marating. Nais ko kayong pasalamatan kahit man lamang isang awitin. Parang kailan lang halos ako ay magpalimos sa lansangan. Dahil sa inyo, ang aking bulsa at ang tiyay nagkalaman. Kaya't itong awiting aking inaawit, nais kong kayo ang handugan. Tatanda at lilipas din ako, ngunit mayroong awitin iiwanan sa inyong alaala. Dahil minsan tayo'y nagkasama. Parang kailan lang ang mga awitin ko ay ayaw pakinggan. Dahil sa inyo, narinig ang tinig ko at naintindihan. Dahil dito'y ibig ko kayong ituring na matalik kong kaibigan. Tatanda at lilipas din ako, ngunit mayroong awitin iiwanan sa inyo alaala. Dahil minsan tayo'y nagkasama. Tatanda at lilipas din ako, ngunit mayroong awitin iiwanan sa inyong alaala. Dahil minsan tayo'y nagkasama. Parang kailan lang ang mga pangarap ko'y kay hirap abutin. Dahil sa inyo, napunta ako sa aking nais marating. kailangan malaman at intindihin sa mundo. Yan ang totoo. Nagkakamali ka kung akala mo na ang buhay ay isang mumunting paraiso lamang. Batang-bata ka lang at akala mo na alam mo na ang lahat na kailangan mong malaman. Buhay ay di ganyan. Tanggapin mo na lang ang katotohanan na ikaw ay isang musmus lang na wala pang alam. Makinig ka na lang, makinig ka na lang. Ganyan talaga ang buhay, lagi kang nasasabihan, pagkat ikaw ay bata at wala pang nalalaman. Makinig ka sa aking payo, pagkat musmos pa lamang at malaman ng maaga ang gusto sa Batang-bata ko, nalalaman ko to. Inaamin ko rin na kulang ang aking nalalaman at nauunawaan. Ngunit kahit ganyan ang kinalalagyan, alam mo na may karapatan ang bawat nilalang. Kahit bata pa man, kahit bata pa man, nais ko sanang malaman ang mali sa katotohanan. Sariling pagraranas ang aking pamamagitan. Inulat ang isipan sa mga kulay ng buhay, maging tunay na malaya, sang katangi-tanging bata. Kailangan malaman at intindihin sa nais ko sanang malaman ang mali sa katotohanan. Batang-bata ka lang at akala mo na alam mo na ang lahat na kailangan mo.
Okay, so finally, we are done with our workshops. No? From activity 1 to activity 6, we have designed, chosen a research project. We have chosen a topic which is amenable for investigation using quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods design. We have come up with a framework for our quantitative design for that topic. We have come up also with a conceptual map for the qualitative design for that same topic. And we have come up with mixed methodologies for that same topic. We have also tried to construct an ethical instrument for us to protect our respondents. And we also with a kind of a draft instrument, no, for each designs, no, and identify the techniques, the appropriate techniques for analyzing our data. Okay, let me end this workshop with this quote from Albert Zent, no, which is very, very up for us today. No, many things that are happening and developing in the education right now, no, and so many have come up with certain pronouncements, certain observations, no, certain patterns, no. As one of you said a while ago, and that is very providential, sabi niya, na tong panahon na ito, sir, no? Sabi niya, no? There are lots of things that are happening, and there is lots of opportunity and potential for research, no? Let us simply remember this, considering that kind of a scenario, is to see what everybody else has seen, think what nobody else has thought. Okay, with that, let me again express my gratitude, my thanks for your patience in going through this workshop. And let me now hand you over to our organizers for the last instructions on the workshop series, on the seminar series. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Jopo. Napaka-rich ng ating activity this morning kasi I'm sure our teachers who participated this morning will be ready with proposals at least, no, to submit to their division offices para sa kanilang mga planned research. I hope, no ba, kung sineryoso po natin yung activities natin from session 1 to session 4, by this time po, lahat tayo meron ng concept paper or research proposal na pwedeng-pwede na po natin i-submit. Katulad po ng sinabi ni Doc Feljon kahapon, meron po palang funding for research sa DepEd. Kaya po talagang research is very productive. And like what Sir Jopo said and what all of our participants, I think, are also thinking right now, nasa tamang panahon tayo to do research because we are in very exciting times, no? Lalo na po sa sector ng education. At this point po, may I ask po if you have questions for Sir Jopo, last minute questions po or clarifications. Yun pong activities na ginawa natin for this morning, activity 1 to 6, you can submit those po, or if you have not finished po or accomplish nyo lang po yung any of those activities, insert na po natin yun sa ating assessment tool and that will be our assessment for session 4. Question po for Sir Jopo. Otherwise po, we're going to end na po our synchronous session. Sir Jopo, siguro po final advice to our beginning researchers kung paano ma-ease in sila sa research ng wala yung mga anxieties about research. Karamihan kasi pag narinig yung research, ayaw na, no? Nakakatakot, it's a daunting task. So how do we reassure them that, you know, kayang-kaya naman pala ito?
Yeah. Maria, hindi lang yung mga first-time research ang natatakot, no? Pati old-timers na tinatawag. Kasi yung mga bagong requirements ngayon, we are made to every year in, year out, dapat may bago tayong project, di ba? So hindi lang yung mga baguhan sa educational profession ang ninenervyos sa quote-unquote sa walang research requirements na ito, no? My advice is, keep your eyes open, no? Keep your eyes open. Much of research stems from the fact that we do not often know for topics that are simple enough to approach and yet are rich in terms of possible outcomes and relationships, no? So keep our eyes open for whatever opportunity that might come. Let us not possess ourselves, using the horror movie term, no, with the pressure in looking for something that is highly interesting, that is highly. The best way to look for a research topic is to open our eyes, look around us. Event happening, that might be it, no? If we see our students, that must be it. If we see some teachers facing challenges in modalities of delivery, that may be it, no? And with this simple scenario, we can come up with various with various variables, relationships that will make definitely our research project very, very interesting and up for publication. I will not wish you luck, no? I will wish you good hunting and good searching for research possibilities. Thank you, Ma'am Ria.
Thank you, Sir Jopo, for the very productive morning sa ating workshop session. It's always a pleasure to have you with us on our webinars and all of our programs. Thank you again, Sir Jopo. Tama po si Sir Jopo, nasa sa bakuran lang po natin yung mga research topics na pwede natin gawin, lalo na po yung mga topics na makakaambag sa ating improvement sa ating schools or sa ating division. So, wag na po tayong maghanap ng mga mind-blowing na mga research topics kasi po ang mas mahalaga po yung makakatulong sa ating as teachers and also sa ating learners. So, with that po, I hope that the last 3 days has been very productive for all of us. Sana po nakatulong ang i.LEAD sa inyo to make your research journey easier and lighter. At sana po mas informed tayo ngayon sa mga pwede nating gawin. At paano pa po natin, of course, madaling maituturo ito sa ating mga students in our research classes. With that po, we end our 4th and final session, last of our 3-day program. Thank you very much po. A few reminders lang po before we end, no? Unang-una po yung ating assessment tool. Meron na pong naka-up na submission bin sa ating FB group page. Pagtapos na po tayo sa assessments 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, i-insert lang po natin yung mga activities natin sa workshop sa 2, 3, and 4 sessions. Tapos, yun na po yung ating isasubmit. Save nyo lang po as a PDF file with your name as your file name. Tapos, i-drag nyo lang po sa ating submission bin. Deadline po nito, alam ko po Sunday ngayon, marami pa po tayong mga kailangang gawin. So, ang deadline po nito ay Monday, bukas pa po, 5 p.m. to give you time to finish everything that you need to do before another work week. So again, deadline of submission of your assessment tool is Monday, bukas po, 5 p.m. Now, other reminders po, of course, your attendance and the program evaluation tool. This evaluates the program po for the program run for the last 3 days. Hindi po separate file, isama nyo lang po doon sa ating assessment tool. Pwede pong screenshot ng mga ginawa nyo or insert the whole file or link po. Pwede po natin gawin yan. So, attendance po, program evaluation tool, and our assessment tool. Basahin po natin mabuti yung instruction sa program assessment tool. Mayroon pong Likert scale doon, 1 to 5. 5 po yung pinakamataas, 1 po yung pinakamababa. Baka po mapagbaliktad po natin. Okay? With that po, thank you very much and God bless everyone. We hope to see you again in the future activities of i.LEAD. Thank you very much po. With that, we end our 3-day activity.
Thank you po.
Thank you po. Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Salamat po.
Thank you very much.
Salamat po.
Salamat po. Maraming salamat Sir Joko.
Thank you po.
Where to put this?
18.